You don't get disrespected overnight. It happens quietly. And most of the time, it's because of one habit you don't even realize you have. You're explaining something important. And halfway through, someone cuts you off. Not aggressively. Just casually. Like what you were saying didn't really matter. And you let them. It happens in meetings. In group conversations. Even with friends. You start talking, and within seconds, the energy shifts. Someone jumps in with their own story. Or their opinion. Or they just change the subject entirely. And you stop. You don't fight for the floor. You don't finish your point. You just quietly fade back into listening mode. Maybe you tell yourself it's polite. That you're being considerate. That interrupting them back would be rude. But here's what's actually happening. You're teaching people that your words are optional. The behavior isn't that you're too quiet. It's not that you're boring, or that people don't like you. It's that you abandon your own sentences. You give up your space in the conversation before anyone even has to take it from you. And people notice. Not consciously. They're not sitting there thinking, oh, this person doesn't value their own thoughts. But subconsciously? They feel it. When you trail off mid-sentence, when your voice drops at the end of your point, when you add I don't know, maybe after saying something you actually believe, you're sending a signal. You're saying, this isn't that important. And so they believe you. This usually starts young. Maybe you grew up in a house where loud voices won. Where the person who talked the most, or the fastest, or the loudest, got the attention. So you learn to wait your turn. You learn that good people don't dominate conversations. And that's true. They don't. But somewhere along the way, you confused patience with invisibility. You started thinking that taking up space was the same as being selfish. So now, as an adult, you do something strange. You apologize for speaking. Not with words. But with your tone. Your body language. The way you let your sentences dissolve into nothing when someone's attention drifts. You've made yourself easy to ignore. And that's not kindness. That's self-erasure. Here's what happens when you keep doing this. People stop asking for your opinion. Not because they don't like you. But because they've learned you won't really give it. You'll start to say something, then soften it, then defer to someone else. So eventually, they just skip you. You become the person who's always there, always nodding, always supportive, but never quite central to anything. And it's lonely. Because you have thoughts. Real ones. Thoughts that matter. But no one knows that. Because you've never defended them long enough for anyone to take them seriously. Respect isn't given because you're nice. It's given because you behave like someone whose voice has weight. And right now? You don't. You don't need to become loud. You don't need to interrupt people or dominate the room. You just need to finish your sentences. That's it. When you start talking, stay in it. Even if someone tries to cut in. Even if the moment feels awkward. Pause. Let the silence land. Then continue. You don't have to be aggressive. You can even smile. But don't abandon your point. Here's a line that works. Hold on, let me finish this thought. Calm. Clear. Not apologetic. Most people will stop. Because most people aren't trying to disrespect you. They've just learned they can. And now you're teaching them something different. Another thing. Stop softening your statements. Stop saying I think maybe's or I could be wrong, but to before every opinion. If you believe it, say it. You can still be kind. You can still listen. You can still change your mind. But stop preemptively apologizing for taking up space. Your voice doesn't need permission. It just needs you to stop withdrawing it. When you start doing this, something will change. Not overnight. But gradually. People will stop cutting you off as much. They'll ask you follow-up questions. They'll remember what you said. Because you're no longer dissolving into the background. You're staying present. And presence is what respect actually looks like. It's not about being the loudest. It's about not disappearing. You've spent a long time making yourself small. Telling yourself it was polite. That it was humble. But maybe it was just safer. Safer than finding out whether people would listen if you really asked them to. They will. But only if you stop teaching them not to. Your words don't need to be perfect. They just need to be yours. And you need to let them land. So here's what I want you to do. The next time you're in a conversation, pay attention. Notice when you're about to give up your sentence. And don't. Just once. See what happens. Then come back and leave a comment. Tell me how it felt. Because I think you'll be surprised. Not by how people react, but by how much you've been holding back.